Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Sports Hounds, ATG Radio, live from the Real Talk Studios. Brad Ryer co-hosting with me as usual. Frank Vesby producing the program as usual. And Brad, I'm excited because the Philadelphia fans, the process is complete. The NBA trade deadline has come and gone, and Elton Brand has done an excellent job improving this roster to what is the best team in the Eastern Conference and the second best team in the NBA, behind only the Golden State Warriors. Scanzano Sports poll question of the night: are the Sixers the best team in the East? It's a by far 10,000% yes, yes, yes. The Sixers are going to the finals. No one can stop this five. You got Boban off the bench. You got Ennis off the bench. You got TJ and Korkmaz off the bench. The bench is fine. The starting lineup's fine. The only starting lineup better than the Sixers is the Warriors. The Sixers are going to the finals. We can have the people. We can go talk. Listen to the people in the comments tonight. Maybe they can change my mind. I doubt it. Tom Arnone thinks they're the best starting five in basketball. I can't go there yet with five max players on the Warriors, but this is far and away. I just answered Ralphie, who hands our social media, does a great job. He put, an agree or disagree post up on Facebook, with a big picture of Giannis, the Greek freak. Are the Bucks the Sixers' greatest threat in the East? I answered #disagree because the Sixers have no competition in the East. They are walking to the finals. They are going to tattoo the Boston Celtics tomorrow night at the Wells Fargo Center.
Did you notice how
Kyrie Irving is not playing in that game? That'll be 3-0 with this starting five.
Did you notice how they don't play Kyrie because they don't want to? They want to have a built-in excuse not to.
That's fine. Yeah, Take all the excuses you want. I'm not scared of Boston anymore. I'm not scared of Toronto, and I'm not
be. You got. I'll
afraid
tell you what,
of the Greek freak at all.
With this lineup, I mean, there's no excuse now. And you know what? Brett Brown now is going to be on the hot seat. Anything less than going to the NBA Finals this year is completely unacceptable.
Most people are saying
Eastern
Eastern Conference Finals are bust, which is fine. If they lose a 6 or 7 game hard-fought series to one of these teams in the Eastern Finals, I'll be pissed off, but I'll get over it. I won't be angry. Maybe short-term angry, but I'll see the big picture long-term because they're walking. Let's forget about this season because guess what? They're going to keep Jimmy and they're going to keep Tobias. Anyone who doesn't see that writing on the wall is a damn fool.
Why can't they keep them both?
They can. They will.
Why would somebody think they can't?
Because everyone's a cap nerd. Everyone's a salary cap, luxury tax nerd.
But you can.
Everyone, all of a sudden, when you have a good team, everyone wants to be fiscally responsible. But when you have a bad team, everyone wants to wonder why you're not spending money to make the team better.
The Sixers
fans want to have it both. I want to have it both ways. I'm not standing for it anymore.
Everybody's going to get paid, and everybody's going to be here. They don't have to get rid of anybody. So they're going to be. I think this year they may not win a championship, but I think next year, Golden State's going to lose. Golden State's going to lose half their team. And I think the Sixers' biggest threat next year could actually be the Knicks. So
we'll see who they sign. The Thunder are still going to be good too. But I got news for you, though. When they inevitably play the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals, I don't think they're good. I don't think anybody in the league is good enough to beat that team 4 out of 7 times. But they certainly are not going to get swept.
I will bet you they win at least 2.
6-game series?
Yep, at least 6-game series.
So
I think so. I mean, they'll listen. The Sixers are going to have a couple of nights where they shoot great, and they're going to win a couple of games. Golden State is just they're too good. They're too good right now.
You can't beat them 4 out of 7. No one can.
No, but listen, at the end of the season, most likely Kevin Durant is not going to be on the team anymore. There's a very good chance
Boogie's definitely gone.
Yeah, he's going to be gone, and there's a very good chance that Clay's going to be gone too.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, but the team is not. The team is not going to be the same without these guys.
They're gonna have Draymond. They're gonna have Clay, and they're gonna have Steph.
Yeah. So but I mean, they're still going to be a very good team, but they're not going to be
three.
They're not going to be
3 max guys isn't 5 max guys.
No, and they're not going to be an unbeatable team next year. So,
because the Lakers are going to get their hands on Anthony Davis sooner or later, and they're going to be in play for a third free agent, which I think is going to be Kemba Walker. We're going to see what the Clippers are going to do because they've traded their best player to the Sixers for a pick that looks sexy, but it's not till 2021. And
is that the Miami pick?
Yes.
That could end up being a very, very
okay,
good
cool.
pick.
Well,
We'll see.
we'll evaluate how good that pick
worry
is
about
when
that
it
then,
actually
yeah.
comes to now.
Exactly. We're
Like-
not worrying about that. We're not worrying about
And
that right now.
anyone who doesn't like the Tobias Harris trade, I can't help you. You're a stone idiot if you don't like that trade.
Why wouldn't somebody like that trade?
Because
He's a good
draft
player.
pick nerds and salary cap nerds and
stop.
the Landry Shamet fan club. Look, I like Landry Shamet as
I
much
like
as the
Landry
next guy.
too, but if
Yeah,
the
but
Sixers
Tobias
believe
Harris
that's
was
the best for
averaging
business,
20
if they want to be in a win now mode, then
But he
yes,
averages-
you do trade Shamet.
But
As much as I did not like trading Shamet, it had to be
But you
done.
got to give the get.
Yeah,
Shamet and the Heat
exactly.
pick are the only reason that trade gets done.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Listen, the guy was averaging 20 points a game. The guy is a scorer. He's just one
It's
more.
Tobias.
Tobias,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's 6'9".
You
He
guys-
averages
Yeah.
21
You
and
guys
8 and shoots 43%.
you guys are
And
putting
for
up
once, he's finally
130
on a contender. So
Rob, you guys are
he's
putting
finally
up
getting his
130,
moment.
140 points a game.
Maybe those people have disappeared after you put up 143 on LeBron and the Lakers Sunday with Kendall Jenner in the house. 14-2 with Kendall Jenner in the house. Get her season tickets,
That's
Ben.
crazy.
Oh,
We
they'd be
need her
14
here.
and 2. They'd be 14-2 whether she's there or not. They're
Like-
Yeah,
a
but
great
sometimes
team.
she doesn't show up and we lose,
Yeah.
and it's not
I-
explainable.
it's her
I remember
fault.
when
Yes.
okay,
people
all right.
were fired up when Kendall showed up. They
Oh,
were like,
she's
they're,
a-
like, oh, let's get a petition to
Oh,
get her
yeah.
out. She's placed
Get
the
her out, yeah.
Kardashian curse. Yeah. But yet,
First off,
she's
her last name's not Kardashian. It's
I know,
Jenner.
but
It's different.
but she's
And-
grouped into that whole family.
What
So
do you do? You tell a 20-year-old kid not to bang Kendall Jenner? Kendall Jenner shows up in your
Right.
DMs. Anyone out there, you're creaming your jeans instantly.
Oh,
Instantly.
yeah, there's a big nut in your
and
pants.
you're gonna tell the kid that he can't date.
Kendall
Number
Jenner.
one, anytime you tell a kid
She's
they
not-
can't do something,
first of all,
that's the
she's-
only thing they want to
She's
do.
not a jinx. So stop. This isn't.
yeah,
This isn't-
apparently she's not a jinx. So apparently
14-2.
something's working.
Now she's a jinx. But yeah, but maybe those haters that thought Landry Shamet and the 2021 Miami pick were too much to give up for
Right.
a player who, by the numbers, should be in the All-Star game. He should have been a Western Conference reserve.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree with that.
I don't understand. Greg Vilkovic, he does great work here.
Yeah,
He's on. What's he on?
He's on,
Agree to Disagree.
AM and the PM.
And AM and the PM.
And he makes an appearance on Agree to
I
Disagree
wanted
here
to
and there.
reach through my Facebook page and smack him in the head for throwing shade at that trade. You're going to win a championship with Landry Shamet and
No, you're gonna win a
the
championship.
2021 Heat pick? Or you're going to win a championship with Tobias Harris?
Listen, you have to have.
Not to
balls.
mention Elton Brand kicked that idiot Markelle Fultz right down to Mickey Mouse and Disney World where he belongs.
Yeah.
With all the clowns.
I'm surprised. I'm glad that whole drama's over. I mean, it didn't work out for Fultz, but he needed to start anew, and Philadelphia was not the place for him.
He's never going to be anything
he's never
because
gonna be
his
anything.
agent and
Yeah.
his brother, whoever those idiots are, they're mad.
Right.
They have it in his head that he's Michael Jordan
Right.
and he can't even get on the
Exactly.
court.
And then he's got the bad case of the yips, so it's like
And I haven't seen
Right.
Jonathan Simmons enter a basketball game yet for the Sixers. I'm not sure what's going on with him
I
or
think
what's
he made.
going on.
No, he didn't. I thought he appeared against the Lakers.
Well, I
yesterday,
fell asleep. They were up by so much, I
Yeah.
dozed off at the end of that Lakers.
That
game.
was just
Simmons,
easy-
I
that was
believe,
an easy win.
is hurt right now. So
That's fine, but then you
Yeah.
get, probably the 32nd or 31st pick in the draft this year
yeah,
for Markelle Fultz, and you get a Thunder pick, which will be at the end of
Yeah.
the first round, which whatever. You get 2 draft picks and a
Right.
player from Markelle Fultz.
That's pretty good.
yeah.
I know Greg's probably listening. I mess with Greg because he's got thick skin and I like him, but I mean, he was the number one shade thrower at that trade that I
Listen,
came across with it.
Rob,
I don't understand your point of
Rob,
view. I really
no,
don't.
No guts,
at all.
no guts, no glory. I mean, you got to go out there and you got to do.
That's what I'm saying.
That was a trade you had to make.
If the process isn't over now, when is it going to be over?
Right.
No, you have basically
You're
with
hanging
this,
on to these picks.
basically
and-
with
and-
this with
All right,
this
they
team,
did clarify it.
and
All
to
right.
keep everybody in their prime.
Over in the YouTube chat, D-Love 120-798 said Simmons did, in fact, play. I actually
Jonathan Simmons?
Jonathan Simmons, yeah.
Okay.
Jonathan Simmons. I believe he did make an appearance at the tail end of that game when it was
Against
clear
the Lakers game?
Against the Lakers,
When I was
yeah.
snoozing because they were
Yeah.
up by so much and I was
I
bored.
completely forgot about that. Thank
Yeah.
you for clearing that up.
Let's go to the Facebook. Mike Parker checks in. Sixers are the best in the East. Let's go. The key for the Sixers is rotation. Always need a starter on the floor.
Yep.
Well, let me just address this because Mike's right, but this rotation stuff and learning to play together, it's overblown and overrated. It's going to take these guys 10 games to figure out 10 games with practicing every day and scrimmaging and whatnot to figure out how to play with each other. So 10 games, and they're already 2-0, about to be 3-0 tomorrow because Kyrie's not playing. So this chemistry stuff and this rotation stuff, it's blown way out of proportion. With 5 legitimate starters, you can have 3 of them on the floor at all times and still have a kick-ass lineup on
Exactly. Like that was the big problem compared leading up to the deadlines, that we needed to improve on that bench. And Ellen made those necessary moves. The bench is far times better than it was at the beginning of the season.
It's well fortified now.
And even more fortified than compared to last year's Sixers team when we made a run in the playoffs. I think this team in particular, right now, they are the best team in the East, but they'll officially claim that title once they can beat Boston and
Boston's
Boston
not,
and Milwaukee.
Boston's not
Yeah.
even a factor.
Yeah, but
In
you
my
know,
opinion.
you know, with Brad
Don't
Stevens, he knows how to coach.
Don't underestimate the Boston Celtics. I mean,
If the Celtics find their groove, I mean, they
I'm
could be.
underestimating. So
don't underestimate. Listen, you don't want to underestimate anybody.
Right.
You want to go in there. You want to be hungry and respect everybody. Because
And-
when you start underestimating teams, that's when the upsets occur. And there's no reason why.
yeah, the Boston
Sixers have
Celtics,
too much.
the Boston
Sixers have too much
Celtics,
talent not to win this year.
the Boston Celtics have 0% chance of beating this Philadelphia
Right,
Sixers team
exactly.
in a 4 out of 7 games. 0.
No, they won't.
None.
4
I
out of
mean,
7.
None.
The next couple games
Absolutely,
ahead,
I would agree with you.
None.
I
I,
would
don't
agree
care if
with
they're
you.
playing in Boston, Philadelphia, or the Moon. That Boston team is not beating the Sixers 4 out of 7 games.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at
I
the
think-
additions, I mean, the Sixers this year have Butler and Tobias Harris. I mean, that's monumental.
J. Michael Tucci
I mean,
says,
they have Irving, but you guys have 2 outstanding starters
Cool.
Yeah.
now. I mean, you've improved more than them.
let's see
The
what
games
Jason
last
Tatum.
year were very, very close. So, I mean, that should be enough to put them over the top.
Let's see. Well, they weren't close. They lost in 5 last year. And it was
Yeah, but the games
embarrassing.
were all close.
Fine. It's called losing when you almost win, though.
I understand that, but at the
But-
same point, if the games are close,
Yeah.
okay, you need something to get you over the top so you can win these games instead of lose them.
Yeah, like Jimmy Butler being on Jason Tatum and Jason Tatum's pocket in his shorts for 40 minutes a game in the playoffs.
And
Jason Tatum not being able to do
Exactly.
a thing against Jimmy Butler because
Exactly.
Jimmy's that dog. And I think the
Exactly.
Jimmy Butler haters are asinine as well. Same with the Ben Simmons haters. You're going to have 4 guys on this
The way people criticize Ben Simmons, it's, I sit here. I've actually seen stupidity to the point where they're saying that he's a bust, and I'm like,
I don't get it.
what?
I don't understand how you can
Yeah, I'll
watch
tell you what.
the
You
game
can
of
send
basketball and say
him to
that.
New York anytime you want, guys. If you think he's such a bust,
Yeah.
we'll take him.
Yeah, and then when
you want to
he's
see a bust? Okay.
Yeah, look at
Watch Frank Ntilikina, okay? That's a bust. Okay? Ben Simmons is not a bust,
Yeah.
guys. So
He's
you got to
not.
stop with that. So what if he doesn't shoot all the time? He's a point guard.
he actually he launched a 3 against the Lakers.
Oh boy. And Pittsburgh I think they just scored a shorthanded goal.
They did.
The Flyers.
Was that a
did.
shorty or was that a or was that even strength? Because
I don't know. That's
They
a big
just had to
game.
delay
That's a
the
big
game.
game for the Flyers
Yeah.
tonight, and they're down 2-0, unfortunately, the Penguins. But J. Michael Tucci, Sixers are the good enough. Clay is gone. F the Lakers. F them.
Bye,
guys.
guys. Very straightforward.
Yeah.
I don't
Which we
think Clay's
appreciate.
ever going to leave Steph Curry's side, but who knows? I could be wrong. They should sell out
Wow,
to
that's
keep Durant.
That's a terrible goal given up by Carter Hart.
Well, I mean, he
Right
stood
through
on
the
his head the
wickets.
last 10 games.
Yeah,
He's
but
going to
that's
give
a-
up softies.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, that's a bad goal. Right
Mike-
between the wickets from 40 feet away. Come on.
I know. Now people are going to say they're going to trade Carter Hart, too.
Well, yeah. Well,
Surely
now
some-
instead of being the next Bernie Perron, now he's going to be the next
Roman Czechmanic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
I like Roman Czechmanic. Remember he always used to save the puck with his head when he was feeling in the
he
zone?
wasn't that bad.
No, but he was a head case, and when he felt
Well,
when he
yeah.
was bad, he was bad.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
he had,
some,
he had no consistency.
No, you're right.
Mike Parker, Kyrie is a flake. Tatum isn't what he was last year. They are no match for these new Sixers. That goal was just after the fire, so not a shorthanded
Of
goal.
course.
Full,
Oh, okay.
full strength goal.
I apologize.
That's all right.
But he still should have stopped that shot.
You're probably right.
From the top of the face-off circle, a wrist shot,
But-
from an angle, you got. I mean, when if you're coming out of the net to cut down the angle, you got to keep the pads closed. You can't have them wide open like that.
All right, well, we'll forgive the kid.
Well, yeah,
Forgive him.
yeah. I mean, look, they're the Flyers need to win this game. We've talked about we've
but
talked about the
Flyers-
hot
the
streaks,
Flyers
but
are
they're
not-
not.
They're not going to make the playoffs.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They needed this huge win streak just to get back into the conversation again. They're still going into this game. They're still 6 points behind, and if
Yeah.
they lose this game, then they're 8 points behind. Listen, they're not better than the Penguins. They're not better than the Blue Jackets. They are not better than the Islanders. They're not better than the Capitals. They are not better than the Canadiens. They are not better than the Toronto Maple Leafs. They are not better than the Boston Bruins. And they are not better than the Tampa Bay Lightning.
What about the Sabres?
What?
They're better than the Sabres?
The Sabres are I just named the 8 teams in the playoffs. The Sabres are like number 9 right now.
Right. That's the team that's directly ahead of them in the standings.
Okay, but that doesn't get them in the playoffs
I
if they catch
understand
them.
that. But
Are they better than the Sabres?
And they haven't lost this
Question-
game yet at all. So let's
No,
just pump
but-
the brakes there.
No, but the Penguins are still the Penguins. And I think I said it before when we first arrived that the Flyers really need to get on the board first and get some confidence going. I
Well,
mean,
we'll see how this game progresses, but the
Oh,
attack, the
absolutely.
attack time has favored Pittsburgh and the stuff that we've seen here in the Real Talk
well,
Studios.
part of the problem with the Flyers is that they've had, other than playing against the Rangers, who they've owned this year, they've had their problems with teams in the division. And I mean, if you want to make the playoffs, you've got to beat the teams in your division. If you don't, that's a problem because you play the most games in your division. So I mean, that's got to change.
Let's get back to the East.
Yes.
So you look at there's 4 teams in the East. The Pacers are out. They don't have all
Exactly,
the They're
yeah.
done. There's 4 teams. There's the Sixers, the Bucks, the Raptors, and the Celtics.
And they're all 9-4 right now in Vegas, by the way.
to go to the finals
Yes.
or to win the finals.
Whew.
To go to the finals.
To go to the
Wow.
finals.
All of them are.
How would you
9-4.
rank those teams, Brad?
Sixers, Raptors, Bucks, Celtics.
What about you, Frank?
I'm gonna go Bucks, Sixers.
So you don't think the
Raptors,
Sixers are going to go to
Celtics.
the finals?
I believe they do, but the big challenge is I want to see how they do against Milwaukee with their next upcoming games. If they can beat Milwaukee the next 2 times,
What scares you about Milwaukee? What do they have that is going to give the Sixers problems?
I mean,
they
can
did
stop
they did
Embiid,
acquire
but-
Nikola Mirotic, which is a huge factor.
okay,
Um,
that's fine. You
yeah.
can't play defense.
can't play defense, but he's a good
That's why I don't like the Raptors getting Gasol. They traded in
Yeah.
Valanciunas and
Valanciunas,
picks,
and they got
and
Gasol.
it makes you worse defensively.
Yeah,
Because they had the perfect mix of big
They
guys
did.
to slow down
Yeah.
Embiid. Now they don't have that because Embiid is going to clown a 34-year-old Gasol.
exactly.
Gasol can still do some stuff for
He's
you
still
on
effective,
offense.
but
on
he
offense,
he hasn't been the same. Like
He
in
hasn't been the
recent
same
years.
defensively
Exactly.
for like 3 years.
So-
But
I think the Raptors should have stood pat.
exactly
Honestly,
yeah.
And Boston didn't do anything.
Boston didn't do anything, which I mean,
So
they
who's
played it safe.
third? Raptors, then Celtics.
Raptors and Celtics. But I mean that could easily change come March, but
But the
as of right now, it's not more of a 1-2 for me. regarding the Sixers team, but more of a 1A, 1B. Bucks and
But the
Sixers
Sixers
are up
have
there.
not one but two guys that can match up
Exactly.
with Giannis
Yeah,
and Embiid and Simmons.
exactly.
And Middleton is good,
They can match up with him, but let's be
Yeah.
honest.
but the other one is
nobody's
going to
really
cover.
nobody's really gonna stop Giannis. But at the same point, see if Giannis and Embiid balance each other out, the
Yeah.
Sixers still.
And
the
I can
other,
just put
the other
They do-
the other
they do
four
have that
guys are
advantage.
still
Yeah,
the other
Like-
four guys are still better.
And
I
I
mean,
can just put Harris on Mirotic,
Exactly.
and that's a non-factor. Middleton, I guess Benny Boy will cover
Benny Boy will. Yeah,
Middleton.
exactly.
I'll put Embiid on Giannis because Middleton can shoot better than Middleton can shoot better than Giannis. And then you have Butler and Redick to cover their perimeter, which,
well, Butler will cover it well.
you got to find ways to hide Redick
Right.
on defense. And if you're that worried about Redick, you can just start Dylan Ennis.
Yeah.
Listen, the Sixers are
But
loaded.
Eric Bledsoe and Malcolm
they are
Brogdon,
loaded.
they don't scare me like
Yeah.
a healthy Kyle Lowry would or a healthy Kyrie Irving does in terms of hiding J.J. Redick on defense. They don't necessarily have to do that against Milwaukee.
Right.
I think they match up really well against Milwaukee.
They do. They really, really do. And it's going to be a very entertaining matchup when they meet up. in
If
March.
anything, I think they match. I can't even say that because
Yeah.
What we need to see is when the Sixers do the Sixers play the Raptors again?
They do not.
All right,
yeah, they're
so-
done with
They're done with the Raptors.
That's
Okay.
fine.
All right. Well, then we're not going to find out
Right.
about
Until the playoffs.
about them
Yeah.
until the playoffs. And the Raptors have made, in my opinion, enough changes so that the choke label should be lifted.
Exactly.
I mean,
But going into the future, I mean, the Sixers have themselves a tough 2-game stretch on the 28th and March 2nd, both against the Thunder and the Sixers.
right.
Not the Sixers, the Warriors. So those two teams, that's going to be a challenge. Then
They
got
play the
Ro-
Warriors soon, right?
Yep, on March 2nd, and then on the 8th
That's at
They got the
Wells Fargo Center.
at
Yeah, but
Wells
the Warriors
Fargo.
are going to play games again. Everyone's going to
Yeah.
be playing games against the Sixers because
Exactly.
they don't want the Sixers to figure out
And-
how to cover them
and-
for the playoffs.
and to
'cause
see
they're
that game-
scared shitless.
And that game against the Warriors can really show if the Sixers team is prepared for the finals. Against
they are
a very-
prepared for the
They are prepared for the
finals.
finals, but can they overcome the Warriors
Look,
in a
I
regular
mean,
season matchup?
I know the Lakers are like, a lot of
Lakers
people.
are not going to make the playoffs.
They're
yes,
not.
they are.
I don't know about
yeah,
that.
I'll put
They're
I'll put
looking-
green. I'll put
They're
green
looking.
money.
They're looking awful right now.
What do you mean? They were fourth place in the West, and then LeBron missed 17 games, and they went 6-11 to put them at 10th.
Right. How far out of the playoffs are they right now?
How far can they be?
Well, Lonzo's not playing, right? Isn't Lonzo hurt?
Let's see the Western
Does Lonzo
Conference
play
standing.
anyway? LeBron.
I don't know. I mean, I don't.
LeBron seems to like playing with Rondo a lot.
Well,
Seems like they have chemistry, and then
Let's see.
I
Lakers
don't know
are
what
3 games out of the 8th seed in the playoffs.
and who's the 8th seed?
The Clippers.
Okay, well the Clippers just traded their best player,
Yeah.
so they're gonna hop in over the Clippers.
Yeah,
and
the
then
Clippers
the
are-
Kings, they're warming up a little bit.
Kings have been playing well all
Yeah.
season. I mean, you got to give them credit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Vlade's done a nice job there. I got to give him credit. Buddy Hield and Fox, who you remember when De'Aaron Fox came out, I was all over
Oh,
him.
yeah.
He just wasn't
Oh, yeah.
a fit for the Sixers because they had Ben and De'Aaron Fox.
They
Well,
got,
I think-
they got the pieces.
I think
so
obviously
that's
this
a good
year,
thing.
I think there's no question this year that the two best coaches this year have to be the fellow in the Nets and the Clippers, because the Clippers got rid of a lot of
Doc Rivers.
a lot of top players too.
Yeah.
So I mean, they both done, especially the Nets. That's when you take a look at all the guys they lost. How many guys were injured for them to be where they are right now is pretty much amazing. Now they did get LeVert back, and inexplainably when they got LeVert back, they lost by 19 at home
Yeah.
to the Bulls, which makes no sense at all. But I mean, they did get him back.
Yeah, but the Bulls made an interesting trade. They traded Bobby Portis and Jabari Parker for
Otto Porter.
Otto Porter and a second-round pick.
Otto Porter was very highly touted, if
Yes,
I remember last year.
and Otto Porter's skill set complements their top pick Lauri Markkanen's skill
Yeah.
set better than Bobby Portis does. And Jabari Parker, ever since Hoiberg got fired,
Hasn't been the same.
Parker's
Yeah.
been kind of out of that rotation there. So,
But you would think Brooklyn would beat them, especially when LeVert gets back and the fans are all are going crazy when he's playing now.
Bob Brinkman, these guys will gel quickly. By the time playoff starts, we will have an 8-man rotation, and some guys will not get minutes.
That's
So
just
your
the way it goes.
8-man rotation is the starting 5: Ennis, Boban, and what? Mike Scott.
Yeah.
Because Korkmaz and TJ don't
Yeah.
really help you
They don't really
past
help
the
you
first
yet.
round of the playoffs
Right.
when you have to play
Then
Toronto,
once
Toronto,
Jonah
Boston.
Bolden.
Once the playoffs
Yeah,
start,
nothing.
you're only going with 8 guys. You're not going any deeper than that.
Jonah Bolden seems to be out in terms of the rotations, and that's even now because I didn't see him in the Nuggets game at all, and I didn't see him on Sunday at all. So I thought he's a promising player, but
Yeah.
obviously with the new additions, they
that or they
disagree.
probably had him in Delaware for that game. I'm not sure. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna check his game log. If I can
Butler
find
is
any.
going to be the man that handles the ball at the end. That's from Bob as well. Yeah, I don't.
I think
no, I think
Embiid
you're
needs to have
nuts.
the ball.
I think if you're nuts, if you're not putting the ball in Ben Simmons' hand at the end, he can either drive to the hoop
Or
like
get
he's
the
been
ball-
doing,
or get the ball to
to
Embiid.
Jimmy or Embiid in a position to score.
Listen, you got to
Or
put
Redick
Embiid,
or Redick or Tobias. Any
Rob,
5 of these
in my-
guys can
in my
create for you at
opinion-
the end of the game.
in my opinion, you've got to get the ball to Embiid. Embiid, if you get the ball
Okay.
to Embiid in a low scoring position, he's literally unstoppable. He's
Right,
either
but-
going to score or he's going to get to the foul line.
Sometimes
And he's a
there's going to
great
be
foul
double
shooter.
teams though.
Okay, well, if there's a double team, then somebody else needs to be open. And you've got to get with the 5 guys you've got. Any one of those guys can hit a shot.
Butler never panics and is a great free throw shooter.
He's also clutch. He can hit a big shot at the end.
Bob also adds, LeBron was crazy giving up one of his remaining years to play for this team that will struggle to make the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a throwaway year for LeBron, kind of. I mean, I think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be matched up against the Thunder or the Nuggets or the Warriors in the first round. And I don't know, maybe LeBron can beat the Nuggets by himself. I don't see him beating the Thunder or the Warriors by himself.
He
He's
beat
not technically by himself. Kuzma's a great player,
he beat the Celtics last year by himself,
and the Raptors.
and the Raptors by himself.
So I wouldn't put it past.
I mean, LeBron's capable. LeBron can do almost. He's kind of like Superman, but there's only so much Superman can do. And I mean, if the Lakers end up coming in 8th place, then then that's going to be an awfully difficult way for them to go. I mean, if they have to play the Warriors in the first round.
Yeah, but LeBron went to L.A. because he wants to get his buddies together. He wants to get Anthony Davis and Kemba Walker or Kawhi Leonard or somebody to play with him.
Oh, somebody will. That's just
Anthony
it's
Davis
only a matter
is
of
going
time.
to. You know, and it's going to be Anthony
Well,
Davis.
let me tell you something. The Pelicans are not going to trade him there. If he may go as a free
They
agent.
should have. If they really got offered Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, Kyle Kuzma, and 2 first-round picks, they should have done that trade.
Okay, so why are the Flyers not getting this goal?
Because the puck's
Oh,
in
the guy's in
corner.
the crease.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what possible reason can there be for? Did somebody kick it? No.
I don't know.
I'm failing to see why. that goal
D-Love
was
puts in, it's
disallowed.
probably going to be a 9-man rotation.
It's too many. Too many. Most teams don't go with 9. Most teams
Not in the
go
playoffs, no.
No,
No,
they go with
playoffs.
the
That's
most they
fine.
go with is 8. The only time you see 9 is if somebody gets in foul trouble, in early foul trouble. Other than that, I mean, you don't want to go to your 9th guy.
No, I don't at all.
You know, I mean, that's you don't need to be doing that.
Because it's Korkmaz and TJ,
Yeah.
and I have no time. I have no patience watching those guys on the floor trying to defend an elite level backcourt. guy, which they'll have to do past the first round of the playoffs. I cringe every time those two guys are in the game because they couldn't cover me. TJ McConnell couldn't cover me at one-on-one. He gets blown by. It's so frustrating. Because everyone loves a guy like TJ, and then everyone wants to say Jimmy Butler's a bad teammate because he wants to win. Makes no sense.
Well, you know how that goes. I mean,
I don't know. I don't understand it. I know how that goes, but I don't understand it.
Look, the best players have to play. Period. No excuses. I mean, and Jimmy is one of the best players on the team. He needs to play.
And he's going to be here.
Oh, he's absolutely going to be there. And listen, the Sixers are going to pay all these guys. There's no reason why they can't or they shouldn't. People are going to the games. They're getting great ratings on TV. They're a big market. There's no reason why they can't pay these guys.
They're going to. They're going to have 4 guys.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, JJ, they're going to have this starting
and
five.
Anybody who's worried about
3 years.
Anybody who's worried about whether or not they can afford to pay, they have the money to pay. And yeah, are you going to pay higher ticket prices? Yeah, you will. But you know what? You're also gonna have a team that's going to be going to the finals every year. You know, because they're that good. You know, I mean, it's plain and simple. It is what it is at this point. I mean, who's going to beat them?
But
Especially
look at it over the
year.
next 3 years. If you have this starting five for the next 3 years, which is realistic. I know JJ's older, and Jimmy's 29. But let's just say
32 isn't that old.
You
in
get
the NBA
3
anymore.
years with this starting five. Guess what? Toronto's losing Kawhi Leonard in the offseason.
Most definitely.
He's going to go to the Clippers or the Lakers. The Warriors, we already outlined, are going to lose 2 of their 5 stars.
Yeah.
So
Durant is going to be gone for sure.
So that's going to, in the Western Conference, all these teams like the Thunder and the Rockets that have 2 stars. The Rockets have Harden and Chris Paul. The Thunder have Westbrook and Paul George. The Lakers will have their 2 or 3. You know, all of a sudden the West has a little parity.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
it's not a foregone conclusion that the Warriors are going to represent the West in the finals.
No,
and
not anymore.
And the Sixers have Tobias, Jimmy, JJ, Ben, and Joe. They're the favorites to win the championship. Unless the Lakers do something silly and get Davis and Leonard.
Yeah, pretty much. Or if the Knicks can go out and use their money and get some top-notch players too, and at least give them a battle. But again, that's we got to see that first.
I'm sorry, Brad, but let's just say the best-case scenario for the Knicks is Kyrie, Durant, and Zion. I don't think those 3 are going to beat the Sixers' 5.
I'd sure like to give it a shot, though.
You get your boys together, and then we'll talk.
As I said,
no one's going to New York. No one.
Before we start talking about that, we have to see it happen before we.
Because the Knicks are getting no one. They've gotten no one since Amari Stoudemire, and that was a disaster. So.
Okay.
You assemble your boys and then come to the table.
In November, when Durant and Kyrie are wearing blue and orange, and Zion's out there with Jordan and Smith as the point guard, I think the Knicks can give anybody a lot of trouble with a lineup like that if they are able to. They would
probably replace Toronto if they lose Kawhi Leonard in the Big Four. The only thing I don't want to happen is I don't want the Celtics to pair Kyrie and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, that could happen too. But the Celtics can't even make a trade like that till after July 1st.
Well, the trade deadline's over.
No, I mean, but when the season after July 1st, I think they can make that trade. When the season's over, they can't make that trade until after July 1st because there's There's
Yeah,
something
it's called
about
it's called the Rose Rule, and it's the stupidest
Yeah.
rule I've ever seen in my life.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew there was some kind of a rule that they
Yeah.
can't do that. So
So yes, by rule you are correct.
I
But-
mean, now let me ask you a question.
But I don't
Rob.
understand
if you're the Pelicans.
But if you
If you're the Pelicans,
Go ahead.
Just,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
just a question.
Mhm.
Okay, let's say for the sake of argument, the Knicks do win the lottery.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're the Pelicans, do you take Kevin Knox and the first round draft pick and trade Anthony Davis to the Knicks?
But why would they do that? Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, and Brandon Ingram and 2 first-round picks is a better package than that.
Oh, I agree with
Than
you.
Zion Williamson.
Are they really?
Yeah, but
are
see,
they really
the Pelicans?
Are
the
they
Pelicans
really that stuffy
were,
about trading with this?
Apparently they
Lakers?
are, because that's a haul for Anthony Davis.
I would agree with you, but I'm just asking, Rob.
So
is that
apparently they're not. The Lakers did tamper, and they got fined for tampering, and that's not right. And the Milwaukee Bucks got fined for talking about Anthony Davis when they're not supposed to either, in terms of trading and getting a guy to come to your team. While he's on another team, that stuff needs to get stopped in the NBA.
absolutely?
And I
And
think that it's
one
going to
thing,
get stopped.
if you notice, the Knicks haven't said a word about Kevin Durant. Nothing.
No, because they're following the rules.
Yeah, they're not. They don't say anything. They don't say anything. And whether or not somebody had a secret conversation, I don't know. I mean that remains to be seen. But nobody's actually gone out and said, "Oh, well, he's got." Who even if Kevin Durant wanted to go there, who on the Knicks would give him a call and say, "Hey, come play with me"? Because right now there's nobody out there. There's nobody in the team that
Right.
would have that kind of.
So you're gonna have Spike Lee and Adam Sandler and a bunch of New York clowns doing your recruiting, and it's not gonna work.
No, it's not going to be them. What the only way that they could do the recruiting is if Durant and Kyrie both want to go to the Knicks and they call each other and say, "Hey, let's start our own super team. Fuck these other teams." That's about screw the Celtics and screw the Warriors. That's really the
That's
only.
fine, but Zion, Durant, and Kyrie isn't enough to beat the Sixers starting 5. That's going to be the starting 5 for the next 3 years. It's just not. And Ben's only going to get better. Joe's only going to get better.
Oh, don't forget
Tobias
though.
Harris
I mean,
is in his prime.
listen, Jordan can match up with Embiid and keep him under control.
Stop it. I mean, I don't know how much more proof you need that Joel Embiid is the most unstoppable force
is great,
in
but
the NBA.
Jordan
I don't
is a-
know what else.
Jordan's a good defensive player. He'll keep him. He's not going to score 40 points against him.
He might.
He's not.
He can score. Joel Embiid can score 40 points against any center in the league.
Yeah, but if he's scoring
Any
40
one of them.
points, that means he's getting the ball all the time, and the rest of the team isn't. So that's not good either. You don't necessarily want to see that. I mean, when you have 5 scorers on your team, everybody should be getting like yesterday. How many guys scored 20 points yesterday? 3 or 4 guys? I mean, they really had balanced
I mean,
scoring
they put up
yesterday.
143.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it seemed like everybody scored 20 points yesterday. It was really a great effort. I mean, the fact that team is capable of putting 140 points on the board just tells you just how good they really are. I mean, that is just an explosive.
It's 76 at halftime.
Yeah, and then
I don't care what the haters say about the Lakers. That's a decent team
I don't care
around
against
LeBron.
against an NBA team to score 143 points, and that they've been scoring 130 a lot. I mean, that team is scoring a ton of points
Because they all fit together perfectly. Because Elton Brand's a genius.
because they can, and they can all shoot and they can all pass. They're a very unselfish team, and it won't take long. They're not even at full strength yet. Just wait another 10 or 15 games for some of these new guys for like Jimmy and Tobias to get together and start being on the same page. I mean, they're only going to get better. I mean, they're not going to get worse. That's for darn sure. I mean, to me, the only chance these teams in the East have this
Their
year
starting 5
is if somebody gets injured. Because if this team stays healthy, I can't see how they lose.
and
Too much talent on this team.
Jonathan Simmons did enter the game. He played 3 minutes on Sunday in the Lakers, and he drained a 3-pointer. I'm sorry, he got a 3-point play the old-fashioned way, looks like. So Tobias Harris had 22. He was a +5. 37 for Embiid. He was a +23. Only 8 for Simmons. He was a +6. Jimmy Butler, 15. He was a +19. And J.J. Redick was at 21 points and
All right, so they have three guys over
+16.
They have three guys over 20 points.
And J.J.
yesterday.
Redick had 34 against the Nuggets on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, every night it could be a different guy. You know, I mean, it's almost like an embarrassment of riches now. And you know what? You got to give Elton Brand a lot of credit. He's done a great job. I mean, I don't think anybody even knew Tobias Harris was available.
It certainly wasn't.
I never heard. You know, I mean, that's Brian Cashman, like Rob. You know, everybody. All you ever hear of is the big stars that are available. You know, and this guy and that guy. Nobody ever mentioned Tobias Harris. I never heard anything about him. You know, all of a sudden they're coming up with him. I mean, and give Brand all the credit because you know what? He has put together one hell of a basketball team now. You know, and this team is now set up to compete and be championship contenders for the next 5 years.
So you look at the standings now. You got the Bucks at 41 and 14. The Raptors 41 and 16. The Pacers are the 3 seed, but you got to think that they're gonna fall off. They've won 5 games in a row, which is kind of unexplainable with Oladipo out. You have the Sixers at 4 and the Boston Celtics at 5. So right now you're slated to play the Boston Celtics in the first round, which is interesting. I think they're exponentially better than Boston right now.
But I think it's going to be a tough series. I don't think they're going to sweep Boston. I think Boston will
they're
probably
one
get
game back. They're one game back of the 3 seed.
Of Indiana. I think they should be able to get to the 3 seed. If they get to the 3 seed, then they
I'm trying to avoid Toronto. In a perfect world, I'm trying to avoid Toronto until the Eastern Conference Finals because they have Kawhi. And Kawhi can cover Ben.
To avoid Toronto, you'd have to win the division to do that. You have to win. You have to have the best record in the conference to do that. To avoid them till the finals.
I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
No, it's not. But
they're
the only
5.5 back.
The only problem.
That's a lot of ground to make up.
Yeah, the only problem is it's just Milwaukee. It just seems like Milwaukee never loses. I mean, is it?
But if you're the 4 seed and Toronto stays the 2 seed, then you do that.
That's true. That's true.
I'm just saying, I don't care what the seeds are. I don't want to play Toronto until the Eastern Conference Finals because, A, they have a good front court that can at least give Embiid a little bit of a problem. And they have Kawhi, who's a top 5 player.
Yeah, but you said it yourself. You said it yourself, though. I mean, they made some moves. They're a little weaker defensively against Embiid now.
Are they playing tonight? So I'm interested to see if they're going to start Gasol or bring him off the bench.
They're playing Brooklyn.
Brooklyn's up 4 at half.
How's LeVert doing?
LeVert is 4 points in 10 minutes.
Okay, so they're bringing him back slowly. That's a scrappy team, though. I'll tell you that.
I like the Nets.
That's a scrappy team. They're not going to win a playoff round, but you know what? For them to make the playoffs would be a
Marc
huge
Gasol
win for that.
has 4 points in 11 minutes, so
he's not playing all that much either.
Ibaka and Siakam. Well, Siakam is penciled in. He's an all-star.
All right, so he's not. So they're not putting him out there all that much either.
So 13 minutes for Ibaka, 11 minutes for Gasol.
Okay, so they're pretty much. So he's
You know,
pretty
we'll
much coming
see.
off the
I
bench.
mean, I wouldn't have given up Valanciunas if I was the Raptors.
Who's winning the toilet bowl?
82-71.
Cleveland.
So you're losing. You're doing good. But, like,
are they going to win again this year?
they might not. They suck.
Your
Your Knicks are terrible.
Suck is a compliment with this team. They're really bad.
Like, getting back to the Raptors, I wouldn't have given up a guy like Valanciunas so easily for plus other assets for an aging Gasol. I mean, I don't know. I would have stood pat if I were the.
From what I've heard, they're not really that thrilled with that trade in Canada. So,
I think it was a bad trade. I know Gasol is the name, but Gasol is 34, and they had a really good thing going with that front court rotation there.
I know,
They were mean defensively.
If
So
it's
I didn't like the trade on the surface.
if it's don't broke, if
Everyone
it's not
freaks
broke,
out because Gasol's the former All-Star.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. They were doing just fine.
Gasol would have been a good guy for the Celtics and Danny Ainge to get with Baines being injured. Basically for the foreseeable future.
That team can't lose enough.
What?
The Celtics.
Boston? Oh, I'm just
enough.
saying. Frank, you bring up that trade, what they gave up for Gasol.
The Gasol trade.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Tom Arnone, Yo fam. What's up, Tom?
Hello, Tom.
I think Tom's the only one that's more excited about the Sixers starting 5 than me, and the fact that they're going to the finals.
All right, so
And I'm pretty excited, so that just tells you. I worry about Tom
here's
sometimes,
the trade.
Frank.
Marc Gasol was traded for in exchange for C.J. Miles, Jonas Valanciunas, DeLon Wright, and a 2024 second-round draft pick.
Okay. I don't know. I would have kept Valanciunas. But Tom, he gets all worked up all the time. He drinks all that Red Bull and Mountain Dew. I feel like he's just going to spontaneously combust when he's getting all worked up on his shows.
So bad.
It is. I worry. He's our leader.
Oh, boy. That was okay. They're
Brad-
showing highlights.
Brad, who will cover Embiid? Brad thinks DeAndre Jordan can cover Embiid, Brad, and he's
I think he can.
severely mistaken.
I think he can at least put up a battle against him. I'm not saying he's going to score a lot because that guy doesn't score that much. But listen, if the Knicks were lucky enough to get all these guys, okay, somebody's going to have to play.
They're going to get no one because they're the Knicks and they're a bunch of mushes.
Well, that could happen too, and they could also end up with with their luck, they could also end up with the 5th pick in the draft this year too if the ping pong balls screw them. So you never know.
Well, first off, you can't really get screwed in this lot. You either got to be first or second. If the Knicks have the worst record, they're guaranteed a top 3 pick.
Top 5, I think. I thought it was top 5.
I believe it's top 3.
Okay, so if they get a top 3,
I don't know. I'm done worrying about the rules of the lottery that
Yeah.
the Sixers are going to go to the finals this year. I'm done worrying about that. Your job to look that
You
stuff
had
up.
you guys had that
Correct.
Had that a few years
But-
ago. So now you're
Because
in.
if you get R.J. Barrett instead of Williamson, that's still an excellent get. So
yeah,
you
that
can
guy
have,
looked like a good player this
Yes.
weekend. He really
Uh,
he was very impressive against Virginia this
So-
weekend.
you get first or second pick, you're getting an NBA All-Star, potentially. Third, they have Morant from Murray State all the way up at 3. He's a good player. He gets a lot of triple-doubles in the Ohio Valley. But, third pick in the draft, I'm not so sure about that. Cam Reddish, it's 2 players, then a drop-off.
I think Zion just he looks like the real thing. He's
And
really
the
good.
Sixers,
Did you see that block?
the
Did you see that
Sixers,
block he got on the 3-point shot?
yeah, he's a creature.
Insane, that guy.
He's unbelievable. The Sixers are not out of the running for the first pick in the draft, though, Brad. Because
Who do
if,
they
if
have?
the Kings get the first pick in the draft, the Sixers.
How are the Kings going to get the first pick in the
Well,
draft?
they would be in the line. It'd be a long shot, but it can happen.
It can happen.
It could, but they're going to be like.
That's
if
how-
they don't make the playoffs, they'd be like 15 or 16.
Yeah, but I forget if it was because the Magic just missed the playoffs in 1992
Yeah.
and won the lottery and got Shaq.
Yeah, and
did.
the Bullets, the Wizards
Yeah.
also got John Wall with the first pick, and they were nowhere near the bottom.
And same thing with Cleveland.
So if the Kings miss the
2014.
playoffs
Yeah, it
and
could
are
happen.
It
fortunate
can happen.
enough to win the lottery, the Sixers would get that pick,
Could
and
you
they would
imagine?
not have to give it to the Celtics. The Kings don't have the pick.
That would be something. That would be
Wow.
something.
It's either going to go to the Sixers or the Celtics. So the Sixers can get the
Oh,
first pick in
man.
the draft.
They can. I'm
That's
very
a lo-
curious on what they
that's
will
a
do with
long
that
shot,
first
though.
pick. It would be very fun to see what
Zion,
they'll do.
you get Zion.
Oh,
I don't care what your team needs are.
man,
you take
if
Zion.
if the Sixers get somehow, some way get Zion, man. Man.
What? Yeah.
Woo!
I would think that J.J. Redick would be gone. and you'd have him
No,
playing.
you bring Zion off the bench
bring
because
Zion.
we're that good.
That guy doesn't come off the bench. You start that guy. Are you kidding me?
He would come off the bench
Guy's
on our team.
That guy would be that guy's going to be unstoppable when he gets to the
Maybe JJ
NBA.
will come off the bench, but
Yeah,
JJ wouldn't
like
go anywhere.
No, he'd be off the bench. That's all. Hey, that guy's a monster. My God, he looked that block he made on the 3-point shot. I mean, it seemed like he wasn't even in the picture, and then all of a sudden, here comes this flash, and the ball ends up in the 7th row. I mean, that was amazing. Yeah. That was an amazing play.
Dan Shryock Jr., offensive. It's hard to guard this team. They have so many options that can score in multiple ways other than Ben. It's a great starting five. It's the second best starting five in the NBA. It's by far the best starting five in the East, and it's the best 8-man rotation in the East, and the Sixers are going to go to the finals. I don't see any way around it.
No, I don't either.
Even if Brett Brown doesn't bring his A coaching game, he has the talent to get away with a B or C coaching performance. Because talent wins. Tyronn Lue has a championship.
Oh no, I realize that.
So
I realize that. It's the NBA is a talent league. I mean I'm still trying to figure out why that wasn't a goal. By the way,
we don't have sound.
No, I know, but I mean if somebody out there is watching the Flyer game,
is that end of 2 or end of 1?
End of 2.
Somebody needs to explain to me why that wasn't a goal. I mean, the only thing I can think of is maybe the whistle sounded when the goalie made the save. Maybe the referee blew the whistle and they scored after the whistle blew, because I don't see any kicking motion or hand motion or hand passes or anything like that. So I don't know. It looked like they didn't even challenge it. So I don't know.
Challenging's dicey in the NHL because if you lose, you get a bench minor.
Well, yeah.
The Flyers challenged an offsides call on Saturday, and they lost, and they were. They were assessed a bench minor.
Yeah, you get a delay a game penalty, which is, I love that, and you know what, that they should do that with the NFL. Well, no, you can't really do that with the NFL. You should get a 5-yard delay a game penalty if you're wrong, because you know what, then you could give them.
It's not a bad point.
What you do is you give each team 4 challenges, but if they're wrong, they lose a timeout and they get a 5-yard delay a game penalty. Then you're not going to see stupid ass challenges. You're going to see only
because losing a
legitimate
timeout in the second half for nonsense is a just penalty.
5-yard penalty is a pretty good one too.
But it's got to be either or. You can't double up. I mean, no one will ever challenge anything.
Oh, you got to be sure that you're right.
But I've seen challenges where
Well,
teams that were right challenge the play, but there's some dopey technicality that they lose.
Well, they're talking about possibly allowing
that's
challenges for pass interference.
And that's an awful idea. If there's going to be a challenge every play. If they're going to do that, then yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I know. I'm
Not
just
on
saying.
your part.
What I'm saying is, if you're allowed to challenge for pass interference, because they're going to be challenging every.
And
pass.
I disagree with that. You shouldn't be able to challenge pass interference. Sorry.
I think should
it's
be,
dumb
because I think it's such a severe penalty, and a
But
lot of times
now
the
you're
referees get it
challenging
wrong.
judgment calls, and it's dangerous. Where does it stop? It doesn't.
Well, you have, but the problem is with pass interference, if it's an obvious call and the referee misses it, like the New Orleans game. I mean, it's really a travesty of justice, and that's a problem. I mean, you want to get it. Listen, you want to get it right. At the same point, you don't want to have.
How about the
make it a
NFL just
joke.
gets better refs and trains their refs better and actually makes rules that are clear cut and easy to understand?
But the referees stink, and they're not gonna get any better.
Then you get new refs.
We've been down this road for a long time. The refereeing in the NFL stinks.
Okay, but if Tom, as the leader of A2D, realizes that our show sucks, he's going to cut us loose.
Precisely.
So why can't they do that with the NFL refs?
Don't know. Do they have a union?
I don't care. They stink.
I know they stink, but if they have a union, then they could go on strike, and then if you have scab referees, then the games become
I
a
think
farce.
scab referees would do a better job at reffing a football game than the clowns they had reffing football games this year would do.
Oh, I don't think so. I've seen that, and it's not pretty.
Why don't you just give me the best? Okay, fine. The refs want to go on strike. Give me the best college refs.
The best college refs would probably do a better job. That I would agree with. But I just think some of these older guys just can't keep up. Some of these really
When are
old
we
guys
ever talking about
can't keep up
a
with it.
college game being altered by poor refereeing on a Monday morning, as opposed to how many times we're talking about how an NFL game was altered by bad refereeing in the NFL on a Monday morning?
In the NFL, it was every week. There was blatant blown calls.
Maybe it's
that were
college.
ruining games.
Maybe because I'm not a college football guy as big as I am NFL.
Yeah, that's possible, and there are a lot of games that we don't see. But it just seems like, at least with the top 25, which is what we follow, it just seems like there aren't any blatantly missed calls that just are embarrassing black eyes to college football the way the NFL seemed to get a black eye every single Sunday this year. I mean, it was bad. Really wasn't, and the leading issues with the NFL was pass interference, and that's a call, and every week we had these issues, and every week we had atrocious calls. The Philadelphia Eagles would have won the division had the officiating been correct with that game against Dallas. I mean, I still can't understand how that wasn't a fumble in the opening kickoff.
What, the Eagles-Dallas game?
Ridiculous. That was ridiculous that wasn't a fumble.
It was a fumble, but they said that there was no clear recovery by the Eagles.
Which is a bunch of hooey.
A crock of shit. Yeah.
I mean, that's just it's ridiculous.
I
And
mean, the
listen,
ref.
I'm not an Eagle fan. You know
Four
that,
guys
but-
in green came up to the ref and handed him the ball.
Yeah,
What do you mean there's no clear recovery? Who
No,
handed you the ball?
No, I mean it was ridiculous. I mean, just a couple of things off the top of my head. Tom Brady with the roughing the passer against the Chiefs when nobody even touched him.
That was bad.
I mean, nobody even touches him, and
But
you're calling him.
I'm gonna look at because I try to look for every excuse not to blame the refs.
Yeah, but the
refs
problem
are
is-
bad.
But when you're making calls like that, and that was a third down call too, by the way.
It was.
The Saint game. I mean, the guy was clearly pass interference.
Dan Shyrock said that the refs blew the whistle and you can't challenge the play when the whistle's blown, when the play's blown dead.
Why are they blowing the whistle when the?
That's what it is.
I mean,
Dan said.
I know.
We don't have any sound here in the Real Talk studios.
That was still a fumble. I mean, and the problem is.
No, I'm talking about the Flyers goal that got this.
Oh, they did blow the whistle. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And that's what I thought it had to be.
No,
'cause
but
there
the
was nothing
Eagles-Cowboys
crazy.
game, the refs are trained to if the ball goes on the ground, you throw that little blue beanie and you let the play out.
Right.
And then
you turn around and look at it later.
So then it's going to get challenged automatically. So
'Cause
a
it's
team
a turnover. So nobody's going to lose.
So
a
they
challenge.
blew it. So not only did it not get reviewed because it got called a not turnover, the Eagles had the challenge and lost a timeout because there wasn't a clear recovery.
Which really is a
But
joke.
that ref didn't do his job. He's supposed to let it play out and call it a fumble because the league will automatically review it. And if the guy's both knees are down, it's a clear not fumble, then Dallas is just going to get the ball.
Yeah, exactly. But his knees weren't down. That was the whole point.
Right.
That
I'm
was
saying
horrible.
it's the ref's fault in that
Oh,
case
it absolutely
because
is.
he should have let the play go, and he didn't, and that ref should be fired.
The problem is
That goes to my point. You get better refs.
I agree with you, but every single week it was the same thing, and it's enough already.
They need new refs.
Yeah, they do.
Brinkman Bracketology, the new edition, is up on the A2D.com website. We're going to talk about some bracketology right after the break. Sports Hounds, HD Radio, back right after this. ATD Radio, Sports Hounds, back. Final hour of the show exclusively on YouTube. Check out our social media pages for the link or a like A2D Radio on YouTube. As always, the Sports Hounds are sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC, certified accountants. Visit GibsonMayerLLC.com. Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer, Frank Vesby producing. With Scanzano Sports Poll question of the night. Are the Sixers the best team in the East? I say a resounding yes. Brad, a resounding yes. Frank is not so sure. Maybe he'll wise up by Wednesday when he does the fix at 6 p.m. right
Could
here
be.
on A2D Radio.
Could be a yes. It's leaning heavily towards a yes.
Well,
Don't worry.
You got Ralphie in your ear, though, who thinks the Lakers are just all that.
But that's just Ralphie.
Yeah. Brodo.
you
Listen
know.
to Brodo.
Of course I listen
Yeah.
to Brodo.
He's smart. He'll steal you right. Brodo probably thinks we're going to the finals.
We're up there. We're a finals contender, but I want to see how this team does the rest of the season against Milwaukee and Golden State and Oklahoma City and Houston. So if they can win those games, then
You're never
they'll
going
be a finals
You're
team.
never going to have to. It doesn't matter how you do
Yeah.
against Houston or Oklahoma City. Because
You're not gonna play
you're playing
them.
the Warriors in the finals.
You're not going to play them. You're going to play the Warriors. So, but I get his point. What he's saying is basically he wants to see them against top-notch competition and how they fare and how
they're
they
going to be fine.
they're going to have some gut check
Someone beat the Nuggets
gut
Friday
checks
night,
in-
right?
Right.
in those games.
It's the 2 seed in the West.
They are right
Yeah.
now, but I can't. I'm having trouble believing that they're going to finish the season as the 2 seed.
Pretty
that would
good.
Be,
I mean,
that would be
whatever.
surprising.
Maybe they'll get overtaken by the Thunder, but I mean, at worst they'll be 3. I mean, they got a good team. But anyway,
Oh yeah. Of
we
course.
digress about the NBA. If you want to talk about the NBA, drop us a comment on our YouTube page, and we'll get to it as soon as we can. Brinkman Bracketology dropped earlier this afternoon. We had a biggie in the ACC, so the crunch was on myself and the crew to get it posted before 7 o'clock today. Virginia goes into UNC and gets a huge road victory after Duke completed the sweep of Virginia on Saturday. And then I laid out my top 16 teams because the selection committee laid out their top seeds in the tournament yesterday, their early selection. They laid out their top 16 teams, so the 1 seeds, the 2 seeds, the 3 seeds, and the 4 seeds. I did the same. Duke's the best team in the country.
Right now they are.
Not even close. I can't believe that the AP and coaches poll don't have Duke over Tennessee now that Duke has now swept Virginia. You win at Virginia, that should put you over Tennessee, who plays in a weak SEC. I mean,
Yeah, it's not football.
correct. Far from.
No.
Now Tennessee's they're gonna play Kentucky next
That's gonna be a good
Saturday, so
matchup.
we're gonna see what they're
Okay, well,
about.
that's the
Yeah.
that's the gut check game for them, most definitely.
And I like Tennessee. I think they have a good team. I think their talent's going to translate when they play better competition. I think they're better than Kentucky. But we'll see Saturday. So I got my 1 seeds as Duke, Tennessee, Virginia, and I still like Michigan. Michigan's kind of fallen out of favor with the national bracketologists, which I don't really understand why. They have 2 losses on the year. They were both on the road to teams that are going to make the tournament. They beat Wisconsin pretty soundly on Saturday, so they're going to win the Big Ten regular season title and probably win the Big Ten tournament. So that's a 1 seed in my book.
Yeah.
Big time. And you watch them play. They have a lot of
talent.
a lot of good guys on their team. Let me bring the actual article up here, because then we got 2 seeds. Two seeds are North Carolina, who lost tonight. They're still not going to drop the 2 line, no matter what they do. Unless they have an epic losing streak, because now they're 19-5. Gonzaga is 23-2. They would be a 2 seed. Kentucky is a 2 seed at 20-3, and I have Marquette as a 2 seed as well at 20-4.
They lost 2 games to St. John's though.
They've been swept by St. John's this year, but they got a big win at home over Villanova on Saturday.
Yes, they did. That was an impressive win.
And I think that they are better than all the teams that I have pegged as 3 seeds, which would be Nevada. They're 23-1, but I mean their best victory is Arizona State, and their only loss is they got clobbered by 20 points by New Mexico. So they got a lot of talent, but I'm worried about them not being battle tested in the tournament. They could very well play their hardest game of the season in the first round of the NCAA tournament.
What about Michigan State this year?
I'm not a fan.
No,
I have them as a 4 seed. They
always seem
won
to be a
one
factor though.
They do. But, they have their best forward, Joshua Langford. He's out with a foot injury. They're definitely a top 16 team, and I wrote about them as a 4 seed. But they have a point guard in Cassius Winston who's a stud, and I don't really like their supporting cast around them. So we'll see. And I think they're the 3rd best team in the Big Ten with Purdue. They're one of my 3 seeds, and Michigan State is a 4 seed.
Okay, and you think Michigan is a 1 seed?
A 1 seed, yes. They are on my 1 line. That'd be correct.
Where do you see Villanova?
They're not in my top 16. They could get there, though. They could be a top 4 seed if they win the Big East tournament.
Which I think they will, by the way.
I just look at them.
I mean,
Marquette's better.
Yeah, but Marquette won that game, but Marquette, they were home, though. I mean, that's
true.
That means a lot. Has Duke played Marquette? Not Duke, I'm sorry. Has Villanova played Marquette here?
No, I believe that they're only going to play once.
Oh, they only play once? Okay. I mean, because if the game's in New York, I think there's going to be more people rooting for Villanova than there are Marquette. I think the Philadelphia crowd travels real well. They've always have at the Big East tournament. I think that they're going to be awfully tough to beat in
yes, they
in
do.
Madison Square
They're going to
Garden.
play Marquette on February 27th.
Okay, so is that going to be at the Wells Fargo Center or at the
At
on
the
the
Wells
campus?
Fargo Center, yes.
Okay, so you're going to have 19,000 screaming fans because that game will sell out.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think they will.
Marquette is a
Marquette's been
very
good
team
this year. Yeah,
They
are.
play well. They finally have a coach since they lost Buzz Williams. They have Coach K's longtime assistant. Let's see if I can pronounce his name correctly. And try and sound it out here.
Wait, which coach?
Coach K's assistant.
Oh, Steve Wojciechowski?
Steve Wojciechowski. Thank you, Frank. Yes. I was never going to do Wojciechowski right. I guess it's not that hard now that someone said it.
Just like Antetokounmpo.
Yeah,
Reading-
Antetokounmpo and
Reading
Krzyzewski,
it is very intimidating.
yes.
But he's got it figured out there.
Well,
And they have a point guard,
getting
Marcus
past third
Howard.
grade.
They have a point guard in Marcus Howard who drops 40 at the drop of a hat. I like Marquette. I think that they're better than Villanova. I don't have Villanova as the top 16 team in the country right now.
Wow. Well, listen, most of the guys graduated. The fact that the fact that Jay's got them playing as well as they are this year is
Yeah,
a
and
real
if you're going to have it
tribute to
down
them.
here, then they're going to have 2 McDonald's All-Americans coming in next year.
So they'll be back right. They'll be right back again.
And-
And the down year for them is getting to the Sweet 16.
I don't know if they're going to get to the Sweet 16. I was surprised they put up such a good fight against Marquette because I don't think they've matched up with Marquette well at all.
The thing is, though, Rob, with no pressure on them,
Right.
sometimes it's a little.
I mean, Brad, they're notorious for being guard heavy and undersized, but they are really undersized this year. And if they get a game where they don't shoot well, because they were buried in the first half against Marquette because they didn't shoot well.
Yeah, they got off. Yeah,
They rallied and made a comeback on the road, which is a testament to
they're
what
gritty.
their program has become.
That's a gritty team.
But I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. But the Big East, it's not great. I think I give it too much love on Brinkman Bracketology now that I look back at some of my older articles. But
well, over the years,
St. John's is up and down.
yeah, and they had a terrible loss against Providence the other day. That was an awful
They got
loss.
smoked. Providence not a bad team.
Yeah, but St. John's can't be losing like that to Providence.
Another team in the
I'm
Big East,
sorry.
Georgetown.
That's a
They're
terrible
probably
loss.
not going to make the tournament this year, but Patrick Ewing, your boy Patrick Ewing, has them playing well. And then 3 seeds we have Nevada, Purdue, Kansas, and Houston. And then 4 seeds we got Virginia Tech, Michigan State, Iowa State, and Florida State. So a lot of states in the 4 seed category. And Iowa State and a faux pas by me might be not writing about Frank's Kansas State Wildcats.
Emaw. Every man a Wildcat.
Every man a Wildcat.
Yep.
Because the Big 12 is also a wasteland of averageness. I was just ready to anoint Iowa State the best team in the Big 12. They let up 92 to TCU at home on Saturday, which disappointed me. So we're going to see how that worked out. I like Texas Tech a lot when conference play started, but they have no consistency. So I don't know. It's going to be a fun tournament, I think.
Yeah.
Past Duke, I think anything can happen. And I have a rule when I'm filling out my bracket that I never pick the number 1 overall seed because they rarely win. But Duke might buck that trend this year.
Yeah, but for some reason, you're right about that, though.
I was dumbfounded when Anthony Davis's Kentucky team Anthony Davis's team, Kentucky team did win. Kentucky had a few.
There were some years Kentucky looked unbeatable and they didn't win, though.
They lost to Wisconsin in the Final Four.
Yep. Listen, it can happen, Rob. I mean, who can forget the first time Duke won a championship with against that Nevada Las Vegas team? You know, with Larry Johnson and Greg Anthony. That was I thought that was one of the best teams in the history of college basketball, and they ended up losing. So I mean,
2015.
it can happen.
But that was the year. That was the year that I adopted my rule. I'm not picking the number 1 overall seed in the tournament because that screwed me. Let me see if I can get it. Right, that was the team that had Booker, the Harrison twins, Karl Anthony Towns, Cauley Stein, Trey Lyles.
Well, what a team!
Yeah, and they didn't win.
I mean, that's almost. I mean, that's a team of pros.
Yeah.
I mean,
So after that team lost to Wisconsin, which shocked me, I adopted the rule that I'm not picking the number 1 overall because I picked Kansas as the number 1 overall seed, and they've
Kansas
spent a bit.
always seems to disappoint in the in the NCAA. I don't know. Every time I pick them on my sheets, they always lose.
Kansas is not. They're a sinking ship as of late, but they're going to be a high seed in the tournament because of their resume in the non-conference. They've beat Marquette. They beat Michigan State. They beat Tennessee. They beat Villanova.
Oh, geez, they're that's well, I'll tell you what. You want to talk about a team putting themselves out there and playing the top competition. That's how you make sure you make the tournament every year. is by going out and playing the best teams and winning most of those games.
And I still have a slight lean on Kansas to win the Big 12. Kansas State, Iowa State, and Texas Tech all chasing Kansas State, leading the Big 12 right now. They're both, all three are 1.5 back. Kansas Jayhawks in action on the road right now against TCU. They trail by 1 point with 13 minutes and 18 seconds left in the first half. So we'll see if they can finally win a game outside of Fog Allen Fieldhouse. But, Brad, we're getting into crunch time here in the NHL. Flyers still down 2-0. You're the hockey guy of the program. What are your impressions of Carter Hart and how he plays goalie and what his future can be?
Oh, he looks like he's going to be a big time goalie. No question about that.
He seems to always be
I mean, he's very
in the right
young.
position.
Yeah, he's very young.
He's very fundamentally sound.
Yes, he is.
Which indicates to me at such an early age he has good habits.
And he's a tremendous athlete, and he's quick. You know, I mean, really, it's just a matter of him getting enough experience. Now, I'm not ready to put him on a Marty Brodeur path or a Bernie Perrant path. I mean,
some people are.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? That again, too many people expect too much out of some of these guys when they first come up. You got to give Carter Hart a year or two to get himself to get his sea legs and get going in the NHL. And also, you really want to see the Flyers, defensively get a lot better. This is not one of the better defensive teams in the NHL. Just to be sure, they're just not. And at this point,
so let's hire Brad Ryer. You're the GM for the next 2 weeks till the deadline in the NHL, end of February, right?
Yes.
February
25th.
Week and a half, 2 weeks. So what do you do with this team?
I want to get a defenseman, a really good defenseman, a mean defenseman.
Do you have names for us? Because I know you researched the hockey rumors.
I'll tell you what.
Much more detail than I do.
If you can get the Kings to eat some of his contract, I think Phaneuf might be a good move for them because he's.
Okay, but who would you have to give up for a player like that?
Probably like a third or a fourth round pick.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of guy I would look. I think they need a big, mean defenseman who's intimidating, who can play the game, and can add a little offense to the back line. I think that's what they need, and they need a guy to keep people out of the front of the net. I also keep hearing that Wayne Simmons is going to get traded, and sounds like he's going to Toronto. Although it seems like Toronto expects to get everybody. I mean,
they're in win now mode.
Yeah, but they're always talking about we're getting everybody. So I mean,
yeah, but
they can't get everybody.
They haven't won the cup in how long?
Since 1965.
That's a longer drought than the Flyers.
Oh yeah, no, they have right now. They are the
and they have a chance this year for the first time in years. I feel like
they have a chance, but I do not like their goaltending. And I'll tell you what, last night they ran into a red hot Ranger goaltender in Alexander Georgiev. They had 56 shots on goal last night, and they only scored one goal. Toronto, and the Rangers beat them 4-1. I mean, the Rangers had maybe 20 shots, and they get 4 goals. That. I know
quality over quantity.
No, poor goaltending over great goaltending. I mean,
you said the Rangers had 56 shots.
No, the Rangers gave up 56 shots. The Leafs. I do not like Frederik Andersen, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I do not believe they can win a Stanley Cup with Frederik Andersen as their goaltender. And I really think if Henrik would let the Rangers trade him, I think, and he could go to Toronto, I think that's the move for the Leafs.
What are the Flyers? Let's get back to Simmons real quick. What
I keep hearing.
What
Simmons,
are they going to get for a player like Simmons?
They should be able to get a first-round pick. Simmons is the kind of guy with the right team that can go in front of the net and just.
He's a garbage man.
But every team.
Yeah.
every team. Look at the goal Crosby
If you're a
scored
good
tonight.
team and you don't have a garbage man, you should be trying to trade for Wayne Simmons.
You're not going to win if you don't have a garbage. I mean, the goal that Crosby scored tonight,
Yeah,
that was a garbage goal.
right.
But who cares if it's a garbage goal
Still
or not a
counts as
garbage
1
goal?
point.
Exactly, it's a goal. And most of these teams that are in the playoffs right now, well, St. Louis especially, that's a team that's right on the verge, and they've got some talent on that team that could definitely use a guy like him. Winnipeg could use a guy like that. I mean, there's a lot of guys.
You're talking about a guy like Simmer?
Yeah.
Berube was here before.
Yeah, I mean Simmons. I think Simmons would be good in Winnipeg. I think he'd be good in Nashville. Although I don't know if Nashville is going to be dealing any more, making any more trades. They already made a couple. They just got Brian Boyle. But Simmons is the kind of guy, and again, I just don't see the Flyers trading him in the division because I think they're still going to want to try to make the playoffs. So. By them strengthening a team that they're going to have to go up against to try to make the playoffs, wouldn't really be a good idea. But he is an expiring contract. They can get rid of him, and then if they really want him back in the summertime, they can certainly go out and try to re-sign him. There's no rule that says you can't re-sign free agents that you trade. I mean,
No.
At this point,
The Yankees did it with Chapman.
Yeah, the A's used to do it with Ricky Henderson all the time. They trade him every year, and then they re-sign him in the winter. I mean, it's a very smart idea, and then you keep increasing your assets at the minor league level, and that's how you build a team.
It's part of the reason the Yankees are so good right now.
Right, their system at this point isn't so hot anymore.
Well, they're all major leaguers, Brad.
Well, yeah.
They graduated. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's true. At this point, yes, but I mean, there's a lot of.
Well, what about a player like Jake Voracek, who just frustrates the hell out of me?
He's untradeable.
Untradeable.
He makes too much money.
What if the Flyers paid for half?
Okay, but then you're going to have all that dead cap space.
I don't even care. I hate him. I hate watching him play so much that I just want him out.
See, I haven't heard anything I haven't heard anything about him. I mean,
they're stuck with Voracek. They can trade Simmons.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Simmons.
Is there anyone else on the Flyers roster that is garnering interest on the trade market from other teams?
I mean, I would think Gudas would be somebody that some teams might be interested in. Again, you get some muscle on the back line. I mean, I'll tell you what, another guy that I think that would help the Flyers, although I don't ever see the Rangers trading with the Flyers, but a guy like Adam McQuaid would be an excellent defenseman for the Flyers to get, rough and tough.
What is he What's he going to cost us?
Probably a third.
You talking about draft picks?
A third-round pick.
I mean, I don't follow the hockey draft like you do, but what kind of player can you get in the third round?
Oh, you can get a good player in the third round. This is supposed to be a very deep draft. So, but again, I think the Flyers need a hammer on the back line. What would you think, Frank? Would you agree? Just watching their team, I just think that they're missing that one guy, and I'm not talking about Gudas because Gudas is one of these guys. Gudas is one of these guys. Every time he drops the gloves, he gets his brains beaten.
Exactly.
And that doesn't inspire your team when a guy throws a cheap shot and then the other team goes out, the other team's enforcer goes out there and beats the hell out of him. I mean that's not a way to spark your team. I mean you get a guy like Adam McQuaid out there, okay, who will fight anybody. I mean, the man fought Ryan Reeves, for God's sakes. He's the kind of guy that he's so tough. Most guys they'll see him and they'll say, "Oh," and they'll just skate away because they're not gonna. And I think the Flyers need a guy like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know. Defense is a huge must for this team.
It's a big issue for the Flyers.
It is.
The Flyers have given up too many goals, and even as good as Carter Hart is. I mean, there's only so many times. I mean, you get
can't
shot
rely on
after
him too
shot.
much, yeah.
And there's the wraparound.
And there's another wraparound.
Exactly.
And that's probably
third goal, 3-0 5 minutes ago. So this is a loss. For
that would be the that's the knife in the back right there.
That's all right.
Jake
They lost
Gensel.
this one.
Right.
I mean, they just let him wrap the puck right around the goal. I mean,
Did he have that 5-hole open again? Looks like it.
he's walking right to the front of the net. I mean, you
Well,
can't let
somebody need. Yeah, I mean but that's the whole point. I think that this team defensively is not good.
is inept.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
I
that's
agree.
and that's a problem. And I
And
think,
everyone's been somewhat fooled over the last couple weeks because they won. They're 9-0-1
if
in
you
their last 10.
if you remember, Rob, a couple of years ago they won 10 in a row and they didn't make the
Yeah.
playoffs. I mean,
Which
just
is what's
because-
going to happen this year.
Which is just because you have one hot streak. I mean, yeah, it's nice to get a hot streak, but that hot streak didn't put them in the playoffs. Put them 6 points out of the playoffs, which just goes to show how bad they were at one point. Now, Carter Hart's been a nice spark for the team, but, I mean, the problem with this team is defensively they're not good. And the kid can keep him in the game so long, but if you keep making mistakes like leaving Crosby all alone on the first goal and letting the guy get a wraparound on that, and I'm not going to blame Carter Hart for that because Gensel somebody should have been at least with him. You can't just let the guy come out like that. I mean, that's bad defensively. Now, the one goal to me was kind of a soft goal, but you know what? Again, if you're not scoring,
you're not going to win
then that's a problem.
not going to win any game scoring 0 points,
No.
0 goals.
No, and it looks like Malkin just got sent off the ice. I don't know what exactly happened here.
So you're going on the Pico power play.
I don't know if it's a penalty or he got hurt. Oh, somebody punched him in the head and then he swung his stick. Oh my goodness gracious, that could be a 5-minute penalty
Well,
for
he
that.
can't swing his stick like that.
No, that's just a dirty play. That's typical. That's typical Pittsburgh
He got punched in
Penguins.
the back of his head, so he swung his stick. And
Yeah, how about
hit our boy in the head.
how about dropping your gloves, Malkin? If you got such a problem, that's just pathetic.
This is the Penguins. This is the Penguins
that should
we
be
all know and love.
that should be a 5-minute penalty and a suspension.
It doesn't look like the guy got nothing.
Well, he got thrown out.
Okay, so they sent it again. They got 5 minutes. So
He
they
got-
just sent him to the locker room because there's
Yeah,
less than
he got a
5 minutes left.
That's a 5-minute penalty.
Now this is a major penalty, so the Flyers can score as many goals as they want on this in this 5 minutes.
Absolutely, and if they score one, they'll be pulling the goalie. So I mean, Malkin just gave this team a shot now, and you know what?
That's a
And I'll-
bad mistake by
that's
a
a- that's
veteran
a-
player.
That's a really stupid play. I'll tell you what.
And I get it. He got punched in the head, in the back of the head, but I mean,
Oh, come on, then drop your gloves.
right? He
You don't
swung
swing
his
your
stick
stick
like a
at
baby.
somebody's head. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I mean, this is disgraceful. That's just there's
It's not even that bad. Like, I mean, I see way worse than that.
throw your stick like that. Taking a two-hander at a guy's head like that. That's terrible.
All right, we'll see how this power play progresses and if they can climb their way back into this game.
Yeah.
I
Well,
gotta tell you, if they force overtime and get a point out of this, then that's
that would be a
pretty
miracle.
remarkable. Well, we'll see. Brad, the MLB hot stove, the Twitterverse, if you will, shook in Philadelphia because now the San Francisco Giants are even money to sign Bryce Harper. And there's my boy Voracek, 3-1.
And it's 3-1 now.
But the power play thing went away.
They still have a power play. The power play continues. That was a 5-minute
They're
major, I
raging.
think.
Yes.
So they're gonna have now they can pull the goalie. Every time they get the puck in their end, wow, what a nice play that was.
Yeah, but they get a good bounce. It must be that end of the ice. The board's there.
Yep.
All right, so Flyers now 3-1. So
3-1, and they have a power play for the rest of the game. I mean, this game's not over now.
So
And
Brad,
look
so,
at Crosby crying now. I can't stand.
so
it.
Bryce Harper and the San Francisco Giants seems like they got a little bit of a love affair going. Bryce Harper liked playing there when he was on the Nationals. They're now even money to sign Bryce Harper.
Yeah, they're the betting favorite.
Why would Bryce Harper want to go to the Giants on a short-term deal being reported
Oh, he is a
to
West
finish
Coast. He is a West
to
Coast
finish
guy,
third
but
place in the West?
he's a
at
West
best?
Coast guy. I don't really understand. I don't understand that. I think it's more or less. I think he's kind of leading them on to try to draw some interest in other places.
And then you have the White Sox offering 8 years, $250.
I think they offered that to Manny Machado. Didn't they?
To Manny.
Yes,
Yes.
that's an offer to Manny Machado. If I'm Manny Machado, I kind of think about taking that deal. I don't think that's such a bad deal.
I don't understand why if you're the Phillies and you see that offer, you just hit up Machado and
hit him for $275.
just give him $320. Give him 8 years, $320.
Wow, $40 million a year is a lot for Manny Machado. I mean, listen, I love Manny Machado. Don't
To
get me
either
wrong.
one of them. Send an email or a text
That's-
however formal offers are submitted in this Mickey
That's-
Mouse winter
that's-
meetings
if you're gonna
MLB
look-
hot
if you're
stove
gonna- if-
nonsense.
If you're going to give him $325, then you got to give him 10 years. Then you can't give a guy $40 million a year.
See,
Manny
now this
Machado's
is-
not worth $40 million a year. Manny Machado has never won a home run championship. He's never won an RBI championship. He's never won a batting title. You know, the most home runs he's ever hit in a season is 37, I believe, and the most RBIs he's ever had is 109. I mean, listen, and again, Manny Machado, and he's a great fielder. I mean, he's an unbelievable third baseman. He's not such a great shortstop, but great third baseman, and he can play shortstop, which makes him very valuable in that sense too. But $40 million a year for him, I'm sorry, he's not Mike Trout.
See,
Rob.
now K Jazzy sets in, chirps in on K Jazzy 175. Thanks for listening, but that sucks. Hoping for Machado or Harper and wait next year for Trout. See, now I hate this narrative that everyone thinks that Mike Trout's coming. That's far from a foregone conclusion that he's even going to leave Anaheim.
I think he will because
Bob
unless-
Nightingale of
unless
USA
they-
Today says he likes it out there, and
Oh, I'm
he
sure
wants
he
to keep
does.
his home life on the East Coast and his professional life as a baseball player separate.
that's possible.
So you can't assume that Trout is going to hit the market or Arenado is going to hit the market next offseason or the year after and just, oh shucks, we didn't get these
Well, you
guys.
can't-
Oh well.
you can't-
It's not oh well.
Yeah, Arenado. I think is going to sign with the Rockies. I think they're going to sign a long-term contract with him. From what I hear, they're very aggressively trying to sign Arenado. As far as Trout is concerned, I mean, what makes
The fact that Harper and
what makes
Machado
everybody just assume? What makes everybody just assume that Trout's going to come here? He may not. You don't know that. That is not a guarantee. It's just like we all thought that Bryce Harper was coming here, and we all thought Machado was coming here. Well, you know what? We don't know where any of these guys are going right now. Right now, they're on.
you can control now. And Harper and Machado are on the market. Look, I'm sending out a text, an email, or however you're supposed to submit a formal offer in this Mickey Mouse MLB hot stove these days. But I'm texting them both. 8 years, $320 million. First one to respond gets the money.
Rob, why not just make it 10?
Whatever.
I mean, if they're 26 years old, if you're going to pay him $320 million, you might as well get the whole 10 years out of him. I mean, that's what they want anyway. I mean, I wouldn't pay anybody
Fine.
$40 million a year. If you're talking 10 years, that's $32 million a year. I mean that's kind of more like it. I mean, what Arenado got $27 million in arbitration this year?
I think 24. I thought I saw 24.
Was it 24 or 27? It's something like that.
A lot.
Well, yeah, he got
I think Betts got 20.
okay. So at this point,
So, fine. Do 10 years, 320. 26 to 36, $32 million a year. They want to be over $300 million. Cool. I'll play ball with you because I told my fans we were spending stupid money. 10 years, 320, first one to accept gets it. And I don't understand why they're playing these games when the Phillies traded for the best catcher in baseball since we've been on the air last. They have Sixto Sanchez, their top prospect, Mickey Moniak, who's a guy who could never figure it out in the minors despite being the first overall pick in the draft.
And they went out and brought in McCutcheon.
Here's K Jazzy. If they don't sign another player, what grade do you give their offseason? I'd give them a C. No, it's still an
No,
A. It's an
not
A.
a
It's an
C.
A
Come
off
on.
season.
Come on, you're being that's
It's an
way
A off season.
Yeah.
You got Real Muto, you got McCutcheon, you got Segura, and you're now able to move Hoskins back to first base.
Yeah, you got
where
rid
he
of
belongs.
and you got rid of Santana.
What the
which-
fans aren't recognizing, because everyone cares about offense. Offense.
Yeah,
but
you've
there's
improved
two
your
sides.
defense exponentially.
Right, there's two sides to baseball. And if you give up 4 or 5 runs an inning, they made so many errors last year.
Well, you're not
So
going to
many
make. Listen, you're
errors.
not going to make a lot of errors now. You've got one of the best defensive players, shortstop wise in baseball, playing short.
Segura.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
Segura is an outstanding defensive player.
McCutcheon
is still pretty good in the outfield. He's not a center fielder anymore, but he's still
Well, he's
he
going to be
can still
left field.
track.
He's
yeah,
going to play left
he
field.
can still track a fly ball in left field just fine. You got a pretty good outfielder in him. You're now putting Hoskins back where he belongs at
first.
So instead
Which
of
he has more
him being-
mobility than Carlos Santana will at
yeah,
first
and
base.
and not only
So
that, but
people are totally underestimating how much better the Phillies are defensively.
it's night and day.
Now
and
you have Robertson
you
at
also-
the back end.
You also by getting Real Muto, you've basically said, okay, no team is going to run wild against us this year.
And that's what happened last year. Well,
Yeah.
Jorge Alfaro couldn't stop the ball.
He couldn't throw anybody out either, and that's
Right.
That's a problem. I mean, look, when you have a catcher that can keep a running game at bay, it saves you a lot of runs. Oh,
And he
boy.
calls a game. Jorge Alfaro couldn't call a game.
Well, I
He
don't know.
couldn't.
I mean, I think Kapler was the one calling the game, but I'm sure Kapler will let Real Muto call the game. I mean, I can't imagine he wouldn't. But regardless of that, Real Muto is got a great arm. Teams are not going to try to steal bases and take liberties with that arm. Because he has such a good arm, it's going to take these guys aren't going to be taking too big a lead off the base pads, and if they don't have big leads, you're not going to see as many guys going from first to third. You're not going to see guys trying to score because he's got the kind of arm that he could throw the ball to second base and nail a guy that took too big a lead off at second base. He can do the same thing at third base. I mean, as bad as Gary Sanchez is defensively, he's got that kind of arm too. So I can recognize how important.
I've been telling you for
It
years
is.
he should be a DH.
Well, he might be if he doesn't get it together.
You're
this
only
year.
getting away with his defense behind the plate because he's young.
Well, also he hits a lot of home runs.
That's fine.
You know,
But
I
when
mean,
he hits a 2-run home run,
yeah, but you have to remember one thing though. Right now, the catching position in Major League Baseball is such a mess offensively that anybody who shows a lot of offense is going to be given chance after chance after chance.
it's
Rob.
true.
And I mean it is what it is. I mean, you know, having Real Muto is one of the better offensive players in the game catching wise. You know, but I mean if you're looking at him as a great hitter compared to other positions, he's not. But
All right.
as a catcher, he's going to give you a lot more bang for your buck than any other catcher in the league, especially when you combine his
Real
offense
Muto,
with
you
his
mean?
defense. Yeah,
Absolutely.
because of his defense. I mean, his
KJ.
war is going to be his war. I know is very, very high. It's higher than Sanchez's.
The Phillies pitching. K Jazzy, yeah, I'm not sure where the pitchers are. Please educate me a bit. I live in Palm Springs, and although I try and listen, not always have the latest info. Thanks, guys.
You got a legitimate ace
We
in
got
Nola.
Nola's an ace. Arrieta, I mean, he really can't. I guess he could be worse than last year, but I would hope
Arrieta was very up and down.
hopefully he can be better.
As
and
is
then
the
you
rest
have,
of their pitching staff right now.
you
is
need
very up and down.
Velasquez, Eflin, or Pavetta to step up to be the third guy, or you need to flex your stupid money and get Keuchel in here.
Right, and I'll tell you what, between Arrieta and Velasquez and Eflin, you know, they all showed flashes last year.
But the thing that excites me about the Phillies is their improved bullpen.
and that should.
Because you have Robertson and Dominguez, and you have two guys from Seattle who are going to be better than what you had last year. And Luis Garcia got traded to the Angels for, I guess, the Luis Garcia version that the Angels had. And KJ Jazzy, and Is the long delay in Machado and Harper thing more the agents and not the players? Yes, it is. It's 100% the agents because Scott Boras can't get outdid by Manny Machado's agent and get Bryce Harper less money than Manny Machado. That's why I am offering both players 8 years, 10 years, whatever, for $320 million and seeing who wants to come win a championship. Because if the Phillies are going to go to the World Series if they get Harper or Machado.
I still think they need to add another pitcher, but
And they'll do that at the deadline.
Yeah,
not in the offseason.
They do need to add another. They need a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, and they're going to trade.
They have a one punch for sure. Nola is.
And they're going to trade with the Indians at the trade deadline because I'm not thrilled with the Indians roster. Francisco Lindor is already injured, might miss opening day with a calf strain.
But who's going to beat him out of that division? That division is so bad.
It's Twins. So bad. The Twins or the White Sox.
Yeah, but if
I'm
the
telling
White
you,
Sox,
I don't see the Indians in the playoffs this year.
If the White Sox
and they're going to be sellers at that deadline.
Well, if they're going to be sellers,
and the Giants are going to be sellers, even if Bryce Harper wants to be a moron and go finish 3rd, 4th, or 5th in the NL West for the next 4 years on some short-term deal that Boras convinces him is a smart idea. They're still going to be sellers at the deadline because they're going to stink.
What's Harper going to do? 5 years, $150?
I don't know what he's going to do.
I mean,
I don't see how he fits in San Francisco. They are so not ready to sign a player like Bryce Harper.
No, they need to get younger and get some talent in there. They don't have any
talent. The Padres and White Sox, I can at least buy that they're ready to sign a guy like that.
Yeah. The Padres, though, just don't have any pitching right now. The White Sox, at least
they're all young.
But the White Sox
they're young. They're still in the minors.
The White Sox have some pitching, though.
That's true. They do.
Lopez and Rondon are pretty good. Giolito has been considered a top prospect, and it's time for him to step up and do what everybody expects.
Well, their problem is Kopech needed Tommy John surgery.
Yeah, that's a big loss. That's
so
a big loss.
That puts a hole in their
and also
future plans of pitching.
Their best offensive players last year went
Kopech
MIA.
is a guy, one of the top prospects, along with Moncada. They got in the Chris Sale exchange with the Red Sox.
Right, and Moncada hasn't really done that much
it's
either.
only a matter of time with him. In my opinion, it's only a matter of time with him. I think his breakout's going to be this year. I think people were expecting too much too soon with Moncada.
Yeah, well, yeah. Look, I think if the White Sox signed Harper, I think the White Sox could win that division. I would agree with you. But Lindor will be back.
Yes, I'm working under the assumption that
Lindor
the Phillies and the White Sox
in,
are going to win these sweepstakes.
Lindor's going to be back in the middle of April, though.
Yeah, but Cavs are tricky, Brad.
Yeah, and he's a shortstop.
Who's their outfield?
Oh, their outfield is abominable right now. You're right about that.
You have Carlos Santana at DH, and you have Jake Bowers at first, which is a downgrade from Edwin Encarnacion.
And who's their catcher right now?
I don't know.
Yan Gomes is gone.
He's gone.
I mean, they downgraded a catcher. Their outfield.
I don't think they're very good.
They may have the worst outfield in baseball. I mean, really, Bradley Zimmer, Tyler Naquin, and who else?
I'm bringing them up right now. I'm struggling to think of our outfield.
I'm apologizing that I can't remember who the third outfielder was. Tyler Naquin, Bradley Zimmer, and
Zimmer will be in there.
Yeah, and Naquin. Who's the other one? Because Brantley is gone, and he was their left fielder. So
all right, so
I can't remember now who their left fielder is.
I don't like this website. Hold on.
Bradley Zimmer, they're still waiting for him. I mean, maybe he finally becomes a good player. I know in Cleveland they're they're making fun of him and they're calling him Richie Sexton 101.
Richie Sexton, good pull.
Yeah, Mr. Strikeout. Who's that other guy? Who's that other guy that they had back in the 90s? They used to Russell Branyan 101. That was the other one that they were calling him.
Okay, so they have Roberto Perez and Kevin Plawecki.
Kevin Plawecki is the guy from the Mets. All right, their catching is awful.
Jake Bowers and Santana.
Okay.
At first, so one of them, the Santana's a DH. He can't play the field.
Right.
Second
Kipnis,
base.
who can't play second base anymore. That's why he was moved to. That's why he was moved to the outfield. Kipnis is going to be their outfielder.
I mean, Jose Ramirez is a stud.
Jose
and Lindor
Ramirez is great, and Lindor is great. But Lindor will be back probably at, let's say, the latest May 1st.
So here's they have Naquan, Leonis Martin, Jordan Luplow, who I've never.
Jordan Luplow. He's one of their prospects.
And Greg Allen. That's a bad outfield.
That's a bad outfield.
You can't compete in the American League with that outfield. I'm sorry.
Their bullpen is not very good either. Their bullpen is
Brad
terrible.
Hand is good, but other than that, I've never.
Simber, Otero, Oliver Perez. Oh my God, yeah, they're not good.
And then the strength of their team is their starting pitcher: Kluber, Bauer, Carrasco, Clevenger, Bieber, who I like. Bieber, that is.
No, they got very good starting pitching. I mean, right now they still have to be considered the favorites in that division. That division is pathetic.
I don't agree. I like what the Twins did. I know I said I didn't like what the Twins did.
The Twins pitching still stinks, though.
It does, but they have a better lineup than.
Well, the way they hit last year, I'm not so sure.
They have a much better team this year and Miguel Sano can only get better.
Well, he couldn't get much worse. Last year was a disaster.
All right, their catchers aren't good. So they have C.J. Crone at first base and your boy Tyler Austin.
That's not bad. Scope is okay. Sano,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Eddie
Rosario is great. I love
Byron
him.
Buxton, if anything, he's going to run fast and play defense. We'll see if he can
Max
learn how to hit.
Max
Kepler is professional.
Yeah,
I don't know much about Jake Cave.
Jorge Polanco is excellent player. Excellent player.
He's good. Yeah, he's good.
Stay off the
roids,
then
though. Nelson Cruz, we'll see.
We'll see if he's got anything left. But I don't like the starting pitcher.
Barrios, Gibson, Odorizzi, Pineda.
That's not good starting pitching.
Perez.
That's terrible starting pitching. Other than Barrios, I can't wait for the Yankees them to come into Yankee Stadium. It's going to be like home run derby with those guys going in. That's a terrible pitching staff.
They're every day. Well, I guess it's every day 9 in the American League because you get to use a DH.
Yeah,
it's promising. It looks like they're going to be able to score some runs.
It's not bad. Detroit's horrible though.
Right. Everyone's going to beat up on Detroit and
Kansas City is pathetic as well. The White Sox still can't hit at all unless if they bring in Harper, at least they'll have some guys that can hit.
Yeah, but the White Sox are going to have.
I'm not crazy about the White Sox lineup. The White Sox lineup to me is not good. And again, their starting pitcher, they got a lot. I mean, listen, as I said before, they got a couple of decent ones in Rondon and Ronaldo Lopez. I like both of them, but
that's the website I like to use.
But the rest of their team, I mean, that division is as bad as it gets. I mean, you take a look at the American League West. The American League West is pretty competitive. You know, you still got Houston. Oakland is still pretty good.
If they get one of these guys, though, they're going to be right there.
Who? Oakland?
No, the White Sox.
Oakland,
I'm not buying it. I don't think what they did last year is repeatable.
Well, they can hit.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think Tampa.
I think Tampa's going to crack the playoffs this year.
You think that what they're going to do is repeatable?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, they did get a pitcher, right? Who did they get? Who did they get besides?
Bring it up right now.
I remember they did bring in a pretty good pitcher. I just cannot remember.
So RotoChamp has Indians winning 92 games. I don't think they win that many. Them winning 92 games.
I could see 85, 86, which will be enough by a mile in the American League Central.
I think 85 games might win that division.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That'd be enough by a country mile. Now Tampa
Bay. Is the Rays lineup.
Okay,
they signed Avisail Garcia.
He's a nice hitter.
Who I like.
He's a nice player.
And they traded for Zunino. So they have Kiermaier, who's a Gold Glove.
Zunino is a very solid catcher.
So they have Kiermaier, Pham, Joey Wendell, who
bad.
played well out of nowhere last year. Ji-Man Choi, who
G-Man Choi, he's a
I don't know who that is.
left-handed first baseman.
They got Austin Meadows from
He stinks.
the Pirates. Yes, but he was once a top prospect. Maybe
Yeah.
sometimes all these guys need is a change of scenery in a place like Tampa where there's no pressure
where there's
on
no
him.
fans.
Avisail Garcia is
He's a good hitter.
a good hitter who
Yeah,
was
he is.
injured a majority of last year.
Yeah. No,
Who-
listen, he can still. I think
I
he's
like
still,
a lot.
Yeah, I like him too.
And then you have a potential. They're going to play games down there with the starters and the
Well,
openers.
of course they
and-
are,
and-
but they still have Blake.
Blake Snell.
Blake Snell is great.
and
Who
they
else?
signed Charlie Morton
Charlie Morton. Okay, yes, that's
from
he's the one
the
I was
Rays,
thinking of
from the Astros.
from the
excuse me.
Astros. Charlie Morton.
Ryan
Morton,
Yarbrough, I mean, he's a guy that can only go a few innings. Tyler Glasnow is another interesting one because these are guys, Meadows and Glasnow are failures in the Pirates who they got rid of Chris Archer for, which I'm not a Chris Archer fan in the least.
never
in
was.
the least. Never was,
Never
really.
was.
Brent Honeywell,
He stinks.
it Honeywell?
He's not good.
He's a highly regarded prospect. So that would be a big
Hasn't done anything in the major
well, that would be a
leagues.
disappointment if he is not good because they've been touting him for years.
Yeah, well, where's he been? Again, he's got to come up here already.
And then they have Jose Alivardo out of the bullpen, who I like. Austin Pruitt,
he stinks. Who else
Stanek,
stinks?
Oliver. I don't know any of these guys.
Let me take a look.
I don't
for
know
you.
any of these guys.
If
Mr. AL East, maybe you can weigh in.
Let's see.
I think they're going to be able to score runs.
Yeah, I mean,
And they have 7 starters listed on their rotation, so they don't need all these guys.
well, I've heard of Nuno. Nuno's a pretty good lefty, but Chazaro, I mean, he was pretty good last year, but some of these guys, Diego Castillo has a good arm. He pitched well last year. I remember him, but I mean, if you take a look who the closer they had last year, who escapes me, they had a really good closer.
They have
last year. Well, he got traded
to the Seattle,
the
and now he's on
Seattle.
the White Sox.
They had somebody else. He used to pitch for the Giants. I just can't remember his name right now. He's a free agent too. But
Rob Nen.
no, Rob Nen. That's a long time ago,
Yeah.
Rob. But they still need they need a closer. Their bullpen just isn't good enough right now. I still kind of like Oakland right now. The Angels are rebuilding.
They're terrible.
Yeah, they're rebuilding. Seattle is rebuilding, obviously.
Everyone's rebuilding
Texas
because
is not-
everyone's rebuilding in that division because the Astros have just a stranglehold on the thing. Like they're not going to lose that division.
No.
All right. Anyway, that'll do it for this edition of the Sports Hounds. We'll be back next week, hopefully talking about Bryce Harper and or Manny Machado finding. Add some zeros, Clintac. Just add them on there. It doesn't matter. Don't tell me you have stupid money and lose these guys to the Giants and the Padres. Sports Hounds. See you next week.